and welcome back to the Parents Awareness Program PAP. My name is Paul. In this episode, I will be discussing a very disturbing incident that I saw on the news some time ago where a young man assaulted a police officer. An incident such as this makes it necessary for me to do this topic, teaching our children to respect the law. Like I've mentioned in my previous podcast, growing up, there were two places that were totally off limits for even the slightest misdemeanor: a church and a police station. Growing up, many of us as school children had to walk past a police station to get to and from school. We would whisper when we got close to passing the station because we had reverence for the law. We had so much respect for the police officers. Whenever we would walk past a police officer, it was customary for us to say good morning, afternoon, or good evening to them. We weren't scared of police officers, but we respected them highly because we respected the law. We understood as children that they were our out-of-home protectors, and we were accountable to them. You see, we were raised to have the utmost respect for the law, and we knew that we would have to be accountable to our parents if we weren't respectful to the outside authorities. Unfortunately, things and times have changed dramatically. A police officer is no longer viewed as the protector, but as the enemy in many cases in some societies. Many want to do whatever they want to do without interference, and because the police officer is out there to prevent or deter the wrongdoers, they are viewed as the enemy. There are even police stations that have been attacked. Very sad, but that's where the minds of some people are. But again, the parents, the home is where it all starts. Some time ago, I saw a very disturbing news report where a young man violently attacked a police officer in a New York City subway station. Plus, there was a young woman in the video, an accomplice who was also throwing blows at police officers. When I saw that young man viciously assaulting the police officer and that young woman's behavior, it made me realize how far we have gone as a society, how broken some minds are, and how urgent it is to send the right messages. According to the news, assaults on traffic police officers are up by 55%. This is staggering, and it says that the situation is only getting worse. I am left with the questions. When did a police officer, our protector, become such an enemy to so many? When did it become okay for someone to assault a police officer, dressed in uniform and doing his job? And I say this because I know for many this is okay. That young man clearly saw the police officer as a vicious enemy, and he wanted to make an example out of him. He and that girl clearly have zero respect for law enforcement, the law, or for anyone as a matter of fact. They clearly demonstrated that they weren't having any authority stopping them from doing whatever they wanted to do. I don't know that young man and the young woman, so I don't know their mental state. I don't know if they have mental issues or what, but their actions speak volumes of their total lack of reverence for authority. And like I always say, it begins in the home. It's important that parents assert some parental authority over their children, to set the precedent at home and let their children know when they are doing wrong. They cannot be left alone to do whatever without correction. In the Bible, Proverbs 29 verse 15, it says, "Correction gives wisdom, but a child left to him or herself brings shame to his or her mother." And I would add, inflicts pain and suffering upon society. In my analysis, It doesn't seem that some parents are actually ashamed of their children's bad behavior anymore. Instead, they are trying to shift the blame and the shame onto the outside authorities, such as the elected officials. It is important that children learn at home to understand that they are not totally free to do whatever. This is not abuse to them, but rather this is to teach them to respect authorities, including the law. I say this because I know parents who do not correct their children when they do wrong, and no one else should correct them either, according to the parents. If there are no authority, discipline, rules, and regulations set at home, then children will not understand that they must respect other authorities outside the home. They will feel like they are well within their rights to be left alone by the outside authorities, including the law. The government and the parents share the responsibility of upholding the laws in order for the laws to work effectively to protect us. Parents have the authority and responsibility to teach their children to respect the law, and this includes our law enforcement officers, who, whether many want to believe it or not, are not our enemies but our protectors. This is something very important that all parents need to teach their children: to give respect, be obedient to the police officers who are protecting them. If I'm walking down the street and I see a police officer, I feel super safe. I often think that while my family and I are asleep, the police officers are the ones out there trying to keep us safe. Let's be real. The threats from the real enemies, the criminals, are real, and we rely on our police officers to protect us. In my opinion, it is a tragedy, to say the least, to see a young man punching and slamming an officer who was doing his usual, serving and protecting, and a young woman joining in the attack. Like I've said, I don't know if they have mental issues. However, growing up, there were a few mentally ill among us who still understood that a police officer was to be respected. There was a mentally ill man in the community who would commit certain offenses. When the police officers would go to get him, he would be very obedient and respectful, so much so that it was unbelievable that he was the same mentally ill person who had the habit of behaving erratically and disrespectfully to others. A clear teaching needs to be taught by all parents to their children that it's definitely never okay to disrespect or assault a police officer who is doing his or her job. If all parents were to teach their children this theme, I strongly believe that it will make a significant difference in our society. I understand that there are a few bad apples among the good ones, and I understand that maybe I cannot trust all in all circumstances. I also understand that they are human beings prone to misses and mishaps, but for the most part, they are our safety net. I know that some may think that I do not know what I'm talking about, but yes, I do. It's easier and cheaper to teach our children what's right than it is to go through the problems with them. It is said that prevention is the best remedy, and a little respect goes a long way. That's it for this episode. I will be doing more topics on parenting, so please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. Also, it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this topic, so please leave a comment. Your inputs are valuable. If this message spoke to you, please hit the like button. It would also be much appreciated if you share this valuable content with a friend or family member. Thank you for listening. Until next time, parents, make the correct changes.